So happy to have each and every one of you here today. So not only is it a wonderful Sunday in general, but wonderful that we get to honor Bob and celebrate him on the next step of his life, and set an example of when change happens, that there's certainly an opportunity to celebrate those who are stepping into their growth. Stepping into growth is what we do here oftentimes at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. We are a metaphysical-based community, and we come together every Sunday morning to gather in our home here at 1200 North La Brea Avenue, to be in community, to acknowledge the oneness of all life that exists within each and every individual, to do that both in person and to honor those that are watching us via live stream, which we have those watching live stream. Hello. We look great on screen today. We were just looking at the color blocking back there. That's great. And to those that are watching us on Facebook Live, hello, Facebook Livers, and thank you, Sarah, for being there running that. So as I said, we come together every Sunday morning into our spiritual home to support the vision statement for our community, which is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. I invite you to hear that anew in this moment, to support individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. We do that by using the teachings of Dr. Ernest Holmes and other New Thought philosophers here in our beloved center, which practice mostly what's called the science of mind, which is a compilation of the world's religions that Dr. Holmes put together in a very concise and succinct way in the book known as The Science of Mind, that was published in 1926 and has been used by thousands and thousands and thousands of people around the world today in really making a difference in their own lives and the lives of others as we walk planet Earth. Science of Mind is known in its most modern incarnation as a philosophy, a faith, and a way of life. And so we're happy to have you here today. I know that you all are happy to have gotten up and stepped out into the sunshine today to come here and be together for this time that we're here and honor each other. And if you're here for the first time, welcome. But no matter whether you're here for the first time or just the first time hearing consciousness, as Dr. Walker would always say to us, we welcome one and we welcome all. So to begin our service, as we always do each and every Sunday morning, we have our practitioner of the day take us on a journey through a ritual called Calling in the Light. That ritual that we'll go through this morning will be led initially through some music, and then Reverend Edward Brown will be our practitioner of the day. He will take us through that, honoring the qualities of the divine. I invite you to hear that anew today. Our illuminator of the day is the one and only Dr. Neil Foster, who will come up and light the candles. And then once that's done, you will hear affirmative prayer and some song, call and response music. So let's begin that journey. Welcome Reverend Edward and Dr. Neil to the Bema.
Please join us. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love.
Good morning. The ritual we performed this morning is called Calling in the Light. Today, we performed this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all people, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. The purpose of this ritual is to draw into our consciousness and our gathering this morning a conscious awareness of our oneness and the qualities we possess as complete expressions of the divine. As Dr. Neil lights the first candle, the quality of peace. In this way, we honor our inherent divine state of inner consciousness, regardless of what chaos is going on around us. we know that we are at peace every moment. Dr. Neal lights the second candle for the quality of power. The power we acknowledge is the energy by which everything lives. The third candle is lit for the quality of beauty, a personal expression in which spiritual qualities are made manifest. The fourth candle is lit for the quality of joy, that inner state that is impaired of emotional acceptance of good, knowing that we move into the joy of our life by experiencing good only. The fifth candle is lit for the quality of light, which is known as the symbol of universal intelligence. The sixth candle is lit. As Dr. Neal lights the sixth candle, it is for the quality of life, that which is defined as the animating principle of being, that inner something which makes everything live. The seventh candle is lit for the quality of love, defined as that self-givingness of spirit through the desire of life to express itself. The eighth candle is lit for the quality of wisdom. May we each live from a place of allowing our inner wisdom to guide us in our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions, our reactions, and our interactions with all of life. As Dr. Neal lights the ninth candle, which is called the healing candle, we ask you to take time this moment and bring into your consciousness, into your awareness, any individual, any situation that you would like to see a healing manifest, knowing that the flame of healing is expressing through this action, this quality, the ninth candle.
Please repeat after me. I am love. I am love. I am peace.
I am peace.
In my heart.
In my heart.
I am free.
I am free.
I am spirit.
I am spirit.
I am soul.
I am soul.
All together. Let's see you guys, come
All
on.
together.
We are whole.
We are whole. Calling in the light. Calling in the light. Calling in the light of love. Calling in the light. Calling in the light. Calling in the light of love. Calling in the light of love. And so it is.
And
so it is.
And so it is.
In this moment, we know and we affirm that this is the day that God has made, and we rejoice in this day, knowing that there is only one life, one power, one presence, God, expressing in, through, and by means of each and every one of us. For we are God in action. We are that individualization of the truth, expressing at our level of awareness of the truth. As we move forward in consciousness, knowing that we understand the qualities of God expressing as us, we let go and we let the universe be. And we be about the Father's business of doing, being, and expressing true life to the fullest. Today, we move forward in this idea, knowing that this is a special day for us at the Center for Spiritual Living. It is a happy day, not a sad day, knowing that our beloved Bob, this is his last Sunday here, but we send love. We send him on with joy, with beauty, with happiness, and all the qualities that God expressed through him. We bless each and every person that is here today, knowing that they are here and you are here, I am here, by right of our own consciousness. Consciousness brought us to this place. Therefore, we are so thankful for this moment of being here to express and to experience. We give thanks for our minister, knowing that he's here by right of his own consciousness. And we give thanks for that idea. We give thanks for the staff ministers, for the practitioners, for the board members, for the volunteers, for every individual that is expressing and making this idea a complete idea today. This is the truth that we know, for we are a beacon light in the city of West Hollywood, and we are shining, shining, shining. This is the truth. We joyously give thanks, and we let go, and together we say, and so it is.
Big fell off those.
Okay. All right. Well,
You're welcome.
and thank you, Dr. Neal. And thank you to all of you all. His scan tag gets him in the club. Okay. Say what? It was from the. Oh, he said it was from the candle. Oh. It's from. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you to all of you. So, this morning, as stated earlier, we are acknowledging the one and only Bob Zwolinski. I want to get my piece of paper here that has what I need on that. And why is it I'm not finding it? I'll find it. Thank you. Here we go. Yay. Let's applaud for that. Yay. So, as Reverend Edwards said, and I said earlier, that today's Bob's last day here in this official capacity. Doesn't mean we won't ever see Bob again. He's offered up, if we ever need him or we're in a crunch to come back and do audio, that we can draw him here. But what I'd like to speak on for just a moment regarding Bob, as we take a moment to honor him, is that Bob has been doing this particular work for 25 and a half years. So for 25, and I say 25 and a half because it was 25 in July of 2018, correct? For 25 years, he's shown up almost every Sunday morning early. He's done that with love in his heart, always not so sure if there was love in the heart with the individuals he was going to meet and greet when he got here. And sometimes it was sweet and loving, and sometimes it wasn't, and he faced the music, pun and no pun intended, each and every Sunday morning and hustled quite diligently to work to set it up so that what was presented to you all for the audio purposes and oftentimes even the visual purposes was really wonderful. And so it's not that it was a thankless job, because I don't think that that's necessarily the case, but certainly it's one that calls an individual to be in service. If one does this for 25 years, it is indeed their ministry. And so if you set the term ministry aside from someone who wears a clergy outfit, of course I don't do that, but wears the outfit of a clergy, being in service is indeed what ministry is all about. So I want to read a couple of things before we bring Bob up, and because I want to honor him not having to come up and listen to this. Anyway. So The Secret to Happiness by Jenny Sant. The secret to happiness is helping others. There's a Chinese saying that goes, if you want happiness for an hour, take a nap. If you want happiness for a day, go fishing. If you want happiness for a year, inherit a fortune. If you want happiness for a lifetime, help somebody. For centuries, the greatest thinkers have suggested the same thing. Happiness is found in helping others. That's what Bob indeed has been doing, is helping all of us. As I said last Sunday, he certainly didn't do it for the money here. He did it because it's what served his heart and his soul and his life and his being. The wonderful Maya Angelou writes on giving. Giving is a twofold process. You cannot have a giver without a receiver, and vice versa. Just as much as someone might be thrilled by being given a gift, the giver also is rewarded in good karma, blessings of abundance to come into their life, and the joy of giving. And I was communicating with Bob this week regarding how long he's been doing this, and he said that his passion in doing this work was to deliver the best audio possible in our wonderful center. And I just want to say thank you, Bob, for having done that. So in the context of giving, Bob, I'd like to invite you up to the bema to give you a gift that is part of celebrating you here today. Come on up, and we've even allotted the time for you to open it if you would like. So we can help you with that. Tell me how you'd like for that to work.
Please do. Love you, Bob. Thank you, Ernesto. Okay, let's see this.
Go with the card first.
Card first. Okay, do I need to be on mic?
I don't know. It depends on whether you want to read it or not.
Let's see.
Read it out loud or not. I would say you can keep, well, it's up to you.
Okay, yes, I'll read it. Am I unmuted, Travis? Am I really unmuted? You are. Okay. May the journey ahead be filled with love and laughter. May your cup always runneth over with all you desire. Please know you will be missed. And we cherish you with all of our hearts. Thank you, Dr. Keith, CSLA board, and trustees, and everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
You're welcome. So,
Okay. Just number one.
it doesn't matter.
Do we really want to do this?
Do you really want to do this, or would you like to wait and do it?
Oh,
He would like to wait, so I won't tell you what it is. So stay here for a second.
Okay.
So in the concept of giving as well, I'd like to bring to the bema Dr. Sheila Hughes, the Board of Trustees. And as I said earlier, that one of the things that is important in life is to not only give, but to receive. And rarely in life do we think of that in the context of receiving so that we can give. But as a spiritual community, we have received so much from Bob Zelensky over the years, not just by plugging in wires and moving slides on a board or an iPad, but bringing his heart and his soul and his wholeness to this community, and it reaches out beyond that. And so we would like to give to Bob, as a tithing community, we would like to give you a substantial portion of our December tithe, and that's what Dr. Sheila Hughes has for you here, please. Can I tell them?
What's that?
Okay. So there we go. So he would like to keep that private, and so go for it. We have nothing to hide. We're a transparent board.
Okay. I'll open these up too.
Okay.
Is there time?
For one or the other.
Well,
You can read the letter out loud if you'd like.
Okay. Dear Bob, thank you for the service you have provided for the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. Your dedication, commitment, and love of being in service has made a difference in the life in immeasurable ways. You have shown up both physically and metaphysically for 20 plus years and are a vital piece of the tapestry known as this spiritual community. Words cannot describe our deep gratitude for you. May this next step in your journey of your life be filled with love, joy, and inspiration. And may the years ahead of you have the opportunity to revel in the glory of the universe, returning to you the magnificence of what you have given. The quote below speaks of your giving. Only a life lived in the service to others is worth living. Albert Einstein. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, it is my honor to provide you with this tithe in the amount of $1,000. And this tithe giving to someone where the giver has been spiritually fed. You have been loved and will always and continue to always be spiritually fed by you. Please know you are loved. Here we grow again. Namaste, Dr. Keith, our spiritual leader. Thank you for Do we have time for this?
No, we'll do that later. Can I tell you what it is before I open it?
Please.
So it's a beautiful plaque that says, "Thank you for the years," with love, CSLLA. And it's that's a pewter tray, and on it is a cup and a dispenser of water to reflect that your cup runneth over, continuing in life. So thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
And so you'll note when we break after our service, there will be a cake in the back. We've already shown Bob, but we're not going to cut it till he's back there because it just might have his face on it. Okay. And on that note, gentlemen, are you ready to take us on a musical journey? Yes. All right.
Always.
Go for it.
Me and all our friends, we're all misunderstood. When they say we stand for nothing, there's no way we ever could. Now we see everything that's gone wrong in the world and those who lead it. So feel like we don't have the means to rise above and beat it. So while we're waiting on the world to change, no, we keep on waiting on the world to change. It's hard to beat the system when we're standing at a distance, so we keep on waiting on the world to change it. Now, if we had the power to bring our neighbors home from war, we would have never missed a Christmas, no more ribbons on the door. And when we trust our television, what you get is what you got. It's when your only information, oh, they can bend it all they want. It's why we're waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting on the world to change. That we don't care, we just know that the fight ain't fair. So while we're waiting on the world to change. That's why we're waiting on the world to change. No, we keep on waiting on the world to change. And it's not that we don't care, we just know that the fight ain't fair. That's why we're waiting on the world to change. That's why we're waiting. We're waiting on the world to change. We're waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change. Hey.
James Harper, Jerome Spiewak, Andy Belling, and Pete Orlansky. So the truth is we don't have to wait for the world to change. We can be the catalyst for that change. And I'd like to speak to that today, not knowing that that would be the song they were singing. So I'd like to begin today with a quote. You'll hear several quotes today from the founder of the teachings of the Science of Mind, Dr. Ernest Holmes. And the first one is this: practically the whole human race is hypnotized because it thinks what somebody else told it to think. Hear that anew. No, hear it anew. I'm telling you what to think, get it? All right, so practically the whole human race is hypnotized because it thinks what somebody else told it to think. This morning I want to talk to you about vision and execution. There's a quote that I love that addresses this, and it's this: vision without execution is just hallucination. Now, you've heard that in varying terms before. You'll hear another direct quote of that in a moment. But hear it. Vision without execution is just hallucination. People attribute it to everyone from Edison to Einstein. Someone has actually traced it back to a Japanese proverb. And the proverb says, vision without action is a daydream. Now, action without vision can be a nightmare. No matter who said it first, it makes a good point. We, awakened individuals, of practitioners of the teachings of the science of mind and metaphysical teachings, those that know that our thought impacts the creation of what shows up in our life, it's important for us to remember that we need to keep a creative vision to make change in the world. To not simply sit back and wait like the song did, to wait for change to happen, but to be a conscious co-creator in the manifestation of the change that we desire to see. But it's important for us to know that a vision for this is not enough. A vision is important, but the execution of that vision is what's going to make it real. If we desire to change the world, the only way that we can do that is by changing the way that we work with the very thing itself. Spirit, that thing that exists within us, that all omniscient, omnipresent power that's infinite by nature, that is waiting upon us to use it in a way that is effective in our lives. The quote that I love from Ernest Holmes that addresses this and the use of the teachings of the science of mind is, information without application is hallucination. And I love that quote, and I want you to just hear that anew. Information, in other words, having all of this without application, without acting on it, is simply hallucination. Meaning that so often in our practice of this teaching, and certainly if we're new to it or if we've been around forever, we think that because we know that the science of mind exists, that we are one with the only power that exists, and through our thoughts and our beliefs and our actions and our reactions in life, that we co-create our reality, simply by knowing it, that we're then co-creating the reality that we desire. But that's hallucination. Because what's important for us to know is that it is incumbent upon us as awake individuals to consciously use not only our thoughts and our belief systems, but our actions and our reactions and our interactions with life itself in a more conscious way each and every time we think. Each and every time we think. Now, is that possible? Probably not. But it's important for us to know that we do it more often than we don't. Well, what is it that we're to think of? Well, I believe it's important for us to think of things, think of ourselves, think of others, think of life itself in terms of manifesting and reflecting the qualities of the divine that exist within us. Each and every Sunday I speak of them, their peace, power, beauty, joy, light, life, love, and wisdom. In the book, The Science of Mind, Dr. Ernest Holmes in the 4th chapter addresses that which I'm talking about today, titled How to Use It, in this way. He says one of the great difficulties in the new order of thought, that's what we are, by the way, is that we're likely to indulge in too much theory and too little practice. As a matter of fact, he goes on to write, we only know as much as we can prove by actual demonstration. In other words, if you want to know what you truly know about this teaching, look at your life. Does your life reflect a life of peace, power, beauty, joy, light, life, love, and wisdom? Does your life reflect a consciousness that is engaged in knowing that you are one with the only power that exists? And does your life reflect you're consciously using the law of life to make life better? And the only way that you know it's better is that you know it's better. So he goes on to write then that which cannot prove may or may not be true, but to that which we can prove certainly must be and is the truth. Of course, the theory of any scientific principle goes beyond its application at any given stage of its accomplishments. In other words, the theory, if you will, of the principle that we've speaking of, that your thoughts and beliefs show up in form in your life because of the impersonal laws of life, is transcendent of your awareness or conscious participation in it. He says if this were not true, there would be no progress in any science. And just to remind you, when I speak of science, and he speaks of science, he's speaking of it in the context that the practice of the teachings of the science of mind is considered a mental science. He says these sciences are objectively real to us only insofar as we demonstrate them. And until demonstrated, they are suppositional, so far as practical results are concerned. If there is any field of research where the practical application is necessary, it is the metaphysical field. The reason being that the principle of metaphysics, what we teach here and practice here, seems less tangible to the average person than does the principle of other sciences. In other words, people will argue with you oftentimes that the principles that your thought creates your reality is less tangible than gravity. All right? So, but he goes on to write, as a matter of fact, now that's not so true in the modern day world with science. Science is beginning more and more by the day to prove that we are indeed conscious. And within that there is consciousness. There's a new article that just came out that's proving that even the cosmos, the universe itself, is conscious. That there's a consciousness that's taking place within the cosmos. And so it's becoming less argumentative that the mental science is indeed tangible. But I'll come back to that. He goes on to write, as a matter of fact, all principles are intangible. But the world at large has not yet come to consider the principle of mental practice in the same light that it considers other given principles of life and actions. What he goes on to tell us in this chapter how to use it is he speaks of the newly awakened student of the science of mind who finds this teaching and believes they've found the truth. And then they run through life for a party like a house on fire, spouting these principles and telling people who are suffering from human conditions that conditions are false. In other words, you tell people who may be sick, well, just change your thinking and you won't be sick. Or people that live in poverty will change your thinking, you won't. Or even you might tell yourself, I'm a practicing metaphysician who is abundant by nature, and yet your world doesn't really show up that way, and you may not even really believe that. What he's saying to do here is, as opposed to running through life like you're in a house on fire, is to slow down and allow your journey of personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening to be one that is a reflective journey. Don't use your audio abilities to announce the good that's happening in your life. Let the principle of life itself manifest it, and let the examples speak for themselves. To effectively use the principles of this teaching, so I'm talking about today, how do we use it? One must realize that every single individual, every single individualized expression of the power of life is on their own individualized journey of finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. Everyone is. And so it matters not what you think of them on their journey. but to be consciously awake and alert that everyone's on it. It doesn't mean that during that time individuals may not do something that inflicts pain on you. It doesn't mean that you can't live with compassion and support individuals during their journey to assist them in finding that in a way where they may be lost. But it's important to know to honor each and every individual as they walk their journey. Speaking of a journey, we've been on one this month as we've looked at the foundational 4 chapters of the book, The Science of Mind, beginning with the thing itself. Seems like forever ago that the first Sunday in January I stood here and spoke with you about the thing itself, reminding us that the thing itself, certainly a unique term for that omniscient, impersonal, infinite power that exists, and many traditional terminologies referred to as God, or Allah, or Yahweh, or Buddha. But we've learned that it matters not what we call it because it doesn't change its nature. Its nature is to impart itself through us. That's the way it works, that it imparts itself through us, and the only way that we can experience and express it is through our own mind. That's the way it works. And that it responds to us by corresponding to the development of our own personal consciousness. That's what it does. Well, knowing those 3 things, and how do we use it? Well, we do it by backing up and remembering that it's all about how we're thinking. It's about how we're acting. It's how we are reacting. It's how we're interacting with life itself. Not life just as some concept, some airy-fairy concept. Yes, in that context as well. But how do we show up every single day engaging in the reflection of the divine that we get to see every day as each other? Now, sometimes that's a really easy thing to do. Would you agree with me on that? And sometimes it's really a pain in the bourgeois, right? As it's hard to do that, but yet we're still called to do it. As I heard a minister say last night, it's a pain in the proverbial. She got a much bigger laugh last night. Okay, so, but here's what's important for us to remember that Ernest writes about thought. Because thought is made of the stuff that forms the universe into definite creation, the law is charged with the power that we give it. No more and no less. It responds by correspondence. So I ask you today, what power are you giving the law of creation in your life? Are you holding it hostage? Are you afraid of what you can manifest in your life? Are you afraid to what degree you can release your divinity out into the world so that it potentially may overpower your humanity? Are you living in a way where you're using the law of life consciously in a way that your humanity reflects your divinity and it appears as if it's completely merged in your conscious way, your conscious act of showing up in life? Are you showing up as an illumined being? This morning, as we do every Sunday, we call in the light. We're not really calling it in, by the way. It's already there. We're just calling in our awareness of it in a new way. We're calling in our thought around it in a new way. But I invite you to do that as you move forward from today and today forward, to know, as Ernest writes, that illumination will come as the human more and more realizes their unity with the whole and as constantly endeavors to let the truth operate through him. What he's telling us is that through this illumination, what we're being called to do is to know more and more and more and more, that exactly as we are right now is whole. That all that there is wholeness. That all that there is wholeness, meaning there's no separation, not only between each other, between all expressions of life, but with the creative force itself. There is none. So today I ask you to ask yourself, how are you using this power? How are you finding your personal self-expression through a spiritual awakening? Are you personally self-empowered as well? How do we do that? Well, we do that one thought, one action, one reaction, one interaction, one belief at a time as we awaken ourselves spiritually and become more personally self-empowered. And the way to do that is to be conscious on the transformation that's taking place in our mind, ultimately transmuting itself into transformative experiences in our life. I love the concept of looking at the transformation in life through transmutation. Transmutation is the action of changing the state of being from one form into the other. In other words, what we're to do is to approach life by looking at it as an experiment, as a spiritual experiment of, am I using my mind? Am I using my love? Am I using my light? Am I using my power? Am I using the law of life in a way that is bringing forth an experience that is different from that which I had prior to this experience? In other words, tap into being a spiritual alchemist. An alchemist is one who transforms all of their energies into higher frequencies of light and of love. They're the bringers of new dawn, of transmuting the old paradigms into higher intelligence and order. They act solely for the highest good of all, knowing that love is the only master they answer to. Now ask yourself, are you willing, just for one day, to let love be the only master that you answer to? Not love solely in human terminology of making the heart flutter and that's all good stuff. But transcend that into living from a place of love as the self-givingness of spirit, whose desire is to create more of itself out of itself. In other words, manifesting a life that is reflective of that divine quality. Letting that be the only master of what it is that you answer to. And you can only do that by transmuting old paradigms into a higher intelligence and order. And you can only transmute, changing the form of your thoughts into higher intelligence and order by releasing anything that's contrary to that which you've previously thought of. Are you willing today to consciously be a bringer of a new dawn? In other words, a new day starting where your mind and your heart and your soul and your being reflects the very thing that exists knowing as light. Are you willing to tap into a higher frequency and then a higher frequency and then a higher frequency of life itself? The only way to do that is to use the very thing itself and use it in a way of the way that it simply works. Now, it's all perspective in how we use this power that exists as life. It's important to remember that the same boiling water that softens potatoes hardens eggs. I didn't write that. But this did go on to say it's all about what you're made of, not your circumstances. So I ask you today, are you willing to look at the creative energy of life as if it's boiling water? And don't have any judgment about whether you're a potato or an egg. It doesn't really matter. What matters is, are you using that power, that transformative power that transmutes the experience in life in an alchemical way to shift what's going on, not only in your life, but life itself? Alchemy is what I'm speaking of in a spiritual right now, traces its roots back to the Egyptian civilization, where it emerged as a practicing art and science as an expression of the Egyptian religion. Alchemy is best known for its belief that lead can be transmuted into gold. In metaphysical terms, the lead that we're talking about is any old idea, any belief of less than, anything in consciousness whatsoever that isn't reflecting the highest consciousness possible for the human. But this goes on to say that, however, the transmutation of non-precious metals into gold is simply a metaphor for the soul being freed from a dead, leaden state of mind to that of realizing its own light nature, and that is derived from pure spirit. What I'm talking about is the concept of alchemy is taking that consciously which is dark in your mind, that which isn't of the highest, and placing heat on it as the alchemist does. But the heat's oftentimes put on in a very slow, methodical way so that it slowly reveals the gold that already exists. And I love this analogy and this metaphor because that's the same for you and I. Within us, in mind, our mind, the mind of God, which is all the same mind, already exists the gold. But somewhere in our life, we've allowed ourselves to let that be covered up with darkness, of feelings of less thans, or why not, or did I, or should I, or blah, 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 blah. Right? And yet what's important for us to know is the gold is still there. And what is it? It's the perfection. It's the wholeness. It's the completeness. It's the peace. It's the power. It's the beauty. It's the joy. It's the light that's love that exists within you and with me already. You don't have to do one single thing for it to exist. But there's a lot you need to do to get rid of anything that's contrary to it. And so the journey that you and I are on today of finding our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening is not a one-step gig. It's not a finite ending. It's an evolutionary, evolving journey that each and every day and each and every moment and each and every year requires us to be attentive to that which we think, to how we show up in life, to sometimes stop ourselves and say, am I willing to do fill in the blank? Am I willing to have the consequences of what I'm about to do? Or am I willing to trust my intuitive power to step back and wait and allow the heat that is underneath the beaker of the transformation of my mind to transmute itself and burn away the yuck and the muck and allow the perfection to rise up? That's how we use it, ladies and gentlemen. It's consciously using it by using it in a high-minded way, by being conscious participants in showing up not only as a new dawn, but an awake new dawner. And that also requires forgiveness, of letting go of what was. So today, I invite you and I encourage you and I support you of relieving yourself of the responsibility of having to make anything happen in your life, and to let go, and to no longer feel like the world will change around you and you're going to wait for it to happen, but to be that change that you desire to see and to experience today, and to do that by loving yourself first, by forgiving yourself first, and by trusting yourself and having faith in the impersonal, infinite, unfailing power of the divine. It's there waiting for you. Don't let yourself down. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Gentlemen, you ready? You want some more music for these four gents? Yes. What? All right. James, Andy, Pete, and Yoron.
Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. I wanna fly like an eagle to the sea, fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I wanna fly, fly right into the future. I wanna feed the babies, don't have enough to eat, to shoe the children with no shoes on their feet. How's the people who are living in the street? Oh, there's a solution. I wanna fly like an eagle to the sea, fly like an eagle so my spirit can be free. I wanna fly, fly right into the future. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Wanna fly like an eagle to the sea and fly like an eagle. Let my spirit carry me. I wanna fly, yeah. Hey, fly right into the future. I wanna fly like an eagle to the sea. Like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I wanna fly. Oh, there's a solution.
Yeah. James Harper, ladies and gentlemen.